My name is Riley Hartman, and the last time I walked into my parents' house, my mother greeted me with a smile so thin it could have been cut from ice. She didn't hug me. She didn't ask how I'd been. She just leaned in her perfume sharp enough to sting and whispered, "We only invited you out of pity, so don't stay long. I should have left right then, but I didn't." I just smiled a small, steady one, because the truth is, her words didn't surprise me. They were simply the first honest thing she'd said to me in years. Inside, the party was in full shine, champagne flutes clinking, gold ribbons fluttering from every chandelier, guests laughing the way people laugh when they think the world revolves around them. And there, in the center of it all, was my brother Brent, glowing under every spotlight, like he'd personally invented success. People swarmed him, praising his new job, his new condo, his new fiancé, all achievements bought with my parents' devotion. I moved quietly through the room, invisible as always, the daughter they tolerated but never celebrated. At one point, my mother brushed past me, barely glancing in my direction. "Please don't talk to Mr. Rhodes tonight," she murmured. "He's important. We don't want you making things awkward." As if my existence was a stain, as if my presence required apology. I stood near the back table, fingers curled around a glass I hadn't touched, and something inside me unclenched, not in anger, but in recognition. This wasn't new. This wasn't shocking. This was simply the moment I finally saw my family exactly as they were, and without knowing it, that was the moment everything they'd built on my name began to fall apart. The longer I stayed in that glittering room, the clearer it became how skilled my family was at pretending I didn't exist. Brent floated from group to group, soaking in praise, while I drifted at the edges, a shadow in a dress my mother once called good enough if the lighting stayed dim. At the dessert table, Brent nudged past me without pause, seamlessly redirecting attention away from me. No one noticed. No one ever did. A woman with diamond bracelets asked, "And you are?" Before I could answer, my mother appeared. "Oh, that's just Riley," she said lightly. "She's not involved in anything important. Brent handles all the family matters." All the family matters. My throat tightened, but I stayed composed. I slipped onto the balcony, letting the cold air clear my head. Below the lake shimmered the same lake where my grandfather taught me to skip stones, the same lake house he left to me because I understood its quiet beauty. Funny how everyone forgot that part. Leaning over the railing, a spark flared inside me, not anger, but awareness. I wasn't powerless, and I wasn't as disconnected from that house as they wanted me to believe. Inside, the party roared on. My mother's laughter rose above everything. She had no idea that the night she dismissed me again was the night I realized how long she'd been using my name behind my back. Driving home Maple Ridge lingered in my mind, the white shorelines, the docks, the evergreens, my refuge. On my 16th birthday, Grandpa handed me the deed and said, "Quiet things become beautiful when they're understood." It was the last birthday we had together. After he passed, my parents took over everything: keys, mail gatherings, renovations, all without me. They invited friends, held parties, took holiday photos, all at the house I owned. Whenever I asked to visit, my mother always said, "It's not a good weekend," or "Brent already planned something." I told myself it wasn't worth fighting. I had school jobs bills. I didn't have the energy for a family war. So I stayed silent. But silence doesn't erase anything, it buries it, and the truth always claws its way back. 2 weeks after the pity invitation, I found an envelope addressed to Riley Hartman, joint account holder. I didn't share any account with anyone. Inside was a property tax payment for the lake house, from a bank account I'd never seen but using my legal name. They weren't just using the lake house, they were using me. I checked my credit report and froze. A credit line opened under my name. A shared tax account tied to Maple Ridge. A mortgage inquiry I never approved. The contact email my mother's. My heart pounded as I dug deeper, bills routed through a joint account created with my identity. My name, my address, my social security number, and a forged signature. A sloppy imitation of mine. Memories flashed: my mother asking for my license for something, my father needing my signature for a form Grandpa forgot. I sent everything to my friend Evan. 10 minutes later, he replied, "Evan Riley, this is serious. Get a lawyer, now." I contacted attorney Chloe Myers, known for calm, lethal precision. When I showed her the documents, she didn't hesitate. Riley, they used your identity to manage a property they don't own. This is misuse at minimum, potentially criminal. My world tilted. My parents weren't just cruel. They were careless with the law. Chloe closed the folder. We'll handle this quietly. Legal. Controlled. Your silence has protected them long enough. Now let it protect you. For the first time in years, silence didn't feel like surrender. It felt like power. The next morning, I met Chloe at her office. Her desk was neat, minimalistic, the kind that projected quiet authority. She reviewed the documents again, flipping through them with a controlled calm that made my heart race faster, simply because she wasn't panicking. Here's what we're going to do, she said. We freeze every account they attach to your name. We terminate all automatic payments. We send a formal notice to the county tax office and the bank stating that no financial activity regarding the lake house can continue without your direct approval. Hearing it put into words felt unreal. Won't they find out immediately, I asked. They will, Chloe said. And that's the point. I swallowed hard. She slid a new folder toward me, documents I needed to sign to initiate the freeze and demand a full audit. My hand shook slightly as I signed each page, but the fear wasn't about acting. It was about finally acting for myself. Later that afternoon, I drove to Maple Ridge alone. The lake was quiet, the midwinter air crisp enough to sting my lungs. The house stood exactly as I remembered. Weathered wood, dark green shutters. The porch swing my grandfather hung still swaying gently in the breeze. I walked up the steps slowly. This place had always felt like a heartbeat. Mine. His. Something we shared without needing words. And now I realized why he left it to me. He must have known how easily my parents would steal what didn't belong to them. Inside, dust floated in golden shafts of light. I touched the old stone fireplace, ran my hand along the kitchen counter, stood in the living room where Grandpa once told me, silence isn't weakness, Riley. It's observation. And observation becomes strength. Maybe he knew one day I'd need it. When I stepped back outside, the wind shifted. Not a soft breeze, a warning. My phone buzzed. Mom, what did you do? All our accounts are locked. The storm had begun, and for once, I wasn't the one who was going to get swept away. My mother's frantic texts kept coming, stacked one after another like they were collapsing under their own weight. Mom, how dare you freeze our payments? Dad, call us, now. Mom, this is your fault if something collapses. Mom, your brother is furious. I didn't answer a single one. Instead, I drove home, made tea, and waited. The silence felt different this time. Not the suffocating kind I'd endured my whole life, but the steady, grounded quiet of someone finally holding their own ground. By evening, someone pounded on my door. I didn't need to look through the peephole to know who it was. When I opened the door, my father stood there, face-flushed, hair disheveled, the first time I'd ever seen him look truly destabilized. He walked past me without asking. Where's the paperwork? He demanded. Unfreeze the accounts. This is serious. So, is identity misuse? I said calmly, taking my time closing the door. He spun around. Don't use that word. It makes it sound criminal. It is criminal. He stared at me, stunned, like he couldn't believe the quiet daughter he'd always dismissed knew how to speak in full sentences, let alone full truth. We only used your name to make things easier, he snapped. You weren't doing anything with the house anyway. And Brent? This isn't about Brent. He hesitated. That silence told me everything. It was about Brent. It had always been. You don't understand how much trouble this causes us, he said, voice shaking now. The taxes, the loan, everything is tangled up because you violated every boundary I have, I interrupted. His jaw clenched. I walked to the coffee table and picked up the folder Chloe had prepared, the cease and desist notice, the identity misuse documentation, the statement of sole ownership. Then I placed it in his hands. From now on, I said, any communication goes through my attorney. He looked down at the papers, eyes widening as he realized just how much power he no longer had. That was the moment he understood the daughter he ignored was the one holding everything together, and the one finally taking it all back. The fallout was immediate. My mother called 32 times in a day. Brent left a voicemail yelling that I was ruining the family. My parents sent paragraphs insisting the frozen accounts were a misunderstanding and that I was overreacting. Then came the guilt-laced threats. Mom, we could lose everything. Dad, is this really what you want? Brent, fix it or I swear. And inevitably desperation. Mom, please, Riley, We need the house for Brent's engagement party. Dad, just unlock it. We'll talk. Mom, don't do this to us. But I didn't need to do anything. Their own decisions were finally catching up. 2 days later, the bank sent confirmation. All activity under my name frozen. Unauthorized accounts terminated. Auto payments canceled. Loan inquiries flagged. I was protected. They were exposed. When I returned to Maple Ridge for the final inspection with Chloe, our neighbors stepped onto their porch. Mrs. Carter said softly, "Your grandfather would be proud of you." My throat tightened. "Thank you." Inside the lake house, sunlight warmed the wooden floors as Chloe reviewed the last documents and closed her folder. "It's done," she said. "They can't touch you or the property." I stood in the living room breathing in pine dust and relief. For the first time since I was 16, the house felt truly mine. Not borrowed, not stolen, not used. Mine. As I stepped onto the porch, my phone buzzed with a final message from my mother. "Why would you hurt us like this?" I typed back. "I didn't hurt you. I just stopped letting you hurt me." Then I put the phone away and stepped into the quiet I finally owned. The day everything fell apart for my family was a deceptively quiet Saturday. Chloe and I pulled into the gravel driveway of the lake house just after noon. Winter sunlight shimmered off the water calm, unaware of the storm waiting inside. Laughter music and clinking glasses drifted from the porch. They were hosting a gathering. At my property, I glanced at Chloe. They really thought I wouldn't follow through. "People who abuse power rarely imagine losing it," she said. We stepped onto the porch. My mother froze mid-champagne sip. Brent stiffened. My father's face drained. "What are you doing here?" he snapped. Chloe answered first. "Mr. and Mrs. Hartman, per the legal notices sent this week, you are trespassing on private property owned solely by Ms. Riley Hartman." Guests gasped. "This is our lake house," my mother sputtered. But my father was already staring at the documents Chloe handed him. Every auto payment closed. Every unauthorized account terminated, every fake claim erased. Everything they thought they controlled was gone. Brent stepped toward me, seething. "You can't do this. You're nothing without us." He actually believed it. "I was nothing because of you," I said. "Not anymore." 2 officers stepped onto the deck there to enforce property rights if needed. "Sir, ma'am, one said you'll need to leave unless invited by Ms. Hartman." My father's voice cracked. "Riley, don't do this, please. We need the house. You needed me," I corrected. "You just never saw me." Their guests gathered their things, the party dissolving in a slow, humiliating wave. My mother's mascara streaked as she watched the kingdom she built on lies crumble in seconds. They left the porch defeated, silent. I felt no triumph, just closure, clean, final, legal. The kind of revenge that didn't need to shout. When the last car disappeared down the gravel road, the lake house fell into a stillness I hadn't felt since my grandfather was alive. The scent of pine drifted through the air, and for the first time it felt like it belonged to me again. Chloe gathered the documents and squeezed my shoulder. "You did everything right," she said, "legally and emotionally." I nodded, feeling not triumph, but a mix of grief for what I'd lost, and relief for what I'd reclaimed. After she left, I walked through the rooms, the dent in the banister from when I was 12, the faded rug my grandfather refused to replace because things don't need to be perfect to matter. Sunlight warmed the old floorboards, dust swirling like memories come loose. I sat on the couch facing the lake, wrapped in a silence I chose not one imposed on me. My phone buzzed. "Mom, please, we're your family. We can talk." The message didn't hurt. It didn't pull me back. It only reminded me of when I still believed family meant unconditional love. I replied, "I wish you well, but I'm done being the only one who sacrifices." Then I blocked her number. Outside the lake shimmered quiet honest. I felt lighter. I opened the windows and let the cold breeze sweep through the house as if clearing the past one room at a time. This place was mine again. Not because I fought loudly, not because I proved anything, but because I finally chose myself, and in the silence that followed I understood. I hadn't destroyed my family. I'd stopped destroying myself for them.